I grew up with the philosophy that sport can help you become a better person. And I want to be remembered as somebody who used their tennis to impact other people. I'll take that. These are the courts I grew up playing on. When I was a kid, my dad and I, we were looking for us or whatever, you knew we'd probably be out here on this first court.
When Coco Gauff put pen to paper with Rolex, the entire tennis universe skipped a heartbeat. It wasn't shock that stopped the clocks, it was the sheer magnitude of the milestone. Contracts of this caliber are never accidental. That iconic green dial doesn't pursue fleeting trends, it anoints permanent legends. The initial roar of applause swiftly morphed into a deafening hush. While a handful of peers offered cheers, others simply vanished into the shadows. That happens when a prodigy ascends with such terrifying velocity. It doesn't merely motivate the locker room, it absolutely rattles them to their core. What shadows were truly dancing behind the curtain of this epoch-making signature? Does her meteoric ascent chafe her rivals, or is that collective quiet just envy wearing a mask? Paint a picture of your ultimate endgame on the court. Could you clarify exactly what you're asking? The shockwave struck with sudden, deafening force. Coco Gauff had formally joined forces with the crown. We aren't talking about a fleeting guest spot or a single billboard. This was a blood pact with the absolute pinnacle of horology, the very emblem that underscored Roger's fluid grace and Serena's iron-fisted reign. In the blink of an eye, every social feed was plastered with her gaze alongside that golden coronet. The underlying message, clear as cut crystal. They do not follow the crowd. They dictate the epoch. This went infinitely deeper than a fat check or a glamorous magazine spread. It served as a blazing beacon that she had shattered the glass ceiling, transforming from a mere prodigy into a generational touchstone. Absolutely breathtaking. We are looking at the most youthful competitor to ever breach the main draw, stepping onto the grass to face her absolute hero, Venus. The narrative played out like a cinematic fairy tale, anchored by a playing style that radiated icy composure and lethal concentration. My only vivid memory is deliberately avoiding the giant screens above the court. Catching a glimpse of who I was playing would have completely shattered my nerves. Closing it out was absolute torture. Every single championship rally felt like my lungs were completely starved of oxygen. Becoming the tragic runner-up was my ultimate nightmare. Meanwhile, the broadsheets heralded her arrival as destiny finally clocking in. Haute couture magazines documented the moment like a royal ascension. Even everyday spectators, completely oblivious to the sport's nuances, felt the earth shift. The brand is ruthlessly selective regarding who enters its hallowed pantheon. Naturally, the atmosphere in the locker room turned frigid. Because when an institution measuring time in centuries crowns a 21-year-old, every other veteran is violently forced to confront their own stagnant legacy. Yet, the jubilee was far from unanimous. In the hushed, shadowed corridors of the global circuit, a much darker narrative was unfolding. The second the ink dried, the athletic community practically detonated. Devoted followers drowned the internet in a tidal wave of euphoria. Pundits sprinted to draft their front pages, while rival sponsors tripped over themselves to offer praise. I was only 10 years of age when that photograph was snapped. That carried massive weight. Earning a countrywide crown instantly validates your name in the eyes of every brutal skeptic. Back when I burst onto the global stage at Wimbledon in 2019, this garment was my battle armor. Yet beneath the roaring ovations, a toxic brew was fermenting. A void. The exact breed of suffocating stillness that materializes when onlookers are utterly paralyzed by a shift in power. And no absence echoed louder than Aryna Sabalenka's. Under typical circumstances, she dominates the spotlight relentlessly, broadcasting her gym routines, roaring through her victories, and bleeding charisma all over the baseline. But following this tangent-sized reveal, absolute ghosts. Not a single update, zero commentary, lacking even a phantom double tap. Pure, unadulterated static. Instantly, the digital sleuths began weaving the threads. Observers scoffed at her sudden muteness. One ruthless commenter quipped that perhaps she was holding her breath for a budget digital watch endorsement. The jest was dipped in venomous reality, palpable to everyone watching. This contract didn't merely promote a star. It violently tilted the entire axis of the women's tour. Honestly, my deepest thrill came from realizing the entire universe rested on my strings, bending completely to my absolute will. Capturing my maiden trophy happened at the tender age of 8, battling through the Little Mo brackets right in the concrete jungle of New York. That initial taste of victory sparked the belief that I could conquer this battlefield. Now, understand this. Luxury horologists do not toss out ambassadorships like cheap party favors. They select titans. They demand mythic figures forged in exactness, grace, and immortal prestige. Roger, Serena, Woods, and currently, Gauff. This specific coronation struck a painful nerve, while her Belarusian rival constructed a fortress out of sheer brutality and chaotic ferocity. This American prodigy architected her empire on unflinching composure and a magnetic, subtle gravity. She is the rare breed of warrior who commands the room without whispering a single syllable. Her mere existence is enough. That lethal, silent swagger is the exact holy grail corporate titans bleed for. Therefore, plastering her visage beside that metallic coronet transcended commerce. It was a shot across the bow, a loud declaration screaming, "Behold the new era." For the gladiators bleeding on the periphery, swallowing that bitter pill felt like swallowing shattered glass. They revere her talent, but the agony stems from the crushing truth. Lightning strikes of this magnitude are singular. On the hard courts, the clock dictates your destiny. Right in this breathless instant, her rhythm is flawlessly calibrated. The Swiss giant refuses to sponsor mere competitors. They wed themselves to immortality. Any soul tethered to that illustrious emblem transcends mere scorelines or silver hardware. It signifies an unwavering exactitude, Spartan rigor, and a permanent elegance unattainable by wealth. That is the exact aura radiating from her. Calling her just a gifted girl with a racket is the understatement of the century. She stands as the ultimate blueprint for the future of athletics. That cinematic drop from the legendary watchmaker? Forget the usual glitz and superficial glamour. This masterpiece dug straight into the grit of her origins. We first see Coco framed against the weathered asphalt in Delray Beach, Florida ground zero for her legacy, while her narration echoes over beautifully deliberate, lingering visuals. This is the pavement that raised me. My father and I bled on this very concrete daily. Hearing that raw confession, it punches you right in the gut. You could tell this was zero corporate fluff. It was unfiltered, deeply anchored, and profoundly intimate. The scene then shifts to her dad, painting a vivid picture of a tiny girl boldly declaring her ambition to conquer the world. He recalled them witnessing the Australian Open together when she was merely 5 or 6 years of age, watching Serena utterly dismantle the competition to take the crown. He remembered muttering about how Serena was destined to be the absolute greatest, leading his little girl to ask what that meant, forcing him to explain the concept of sporting immortality. Her instant reply, "I want to do exactly that." That bold declaration sent him sprinting to grab a racket, sparking a journey that would alter history. That tiny flicker of ambition exploded into the raging inferno we witness today, and the luxury brand recognized far more than just a trophy winner. They beheld a narrative echoing their very soul. Unwavering dedication, relentless rhythm, and evolution through the years, making every single cinematic frame feel profoundly intentional. Zero special effects, zero artificial shine, pure, unadulterated truth. A young girl hunting down her destiny, backed by unshakable familial faith, uniting with a sponsor who knows legends are forged in sweat, not purchased with cash, which is exactly why she stands worlds apart from the rest of the circuit. She never has to put on a theatrical act to validate her value. Her undeniable history speaks volumes before she even steps on the court. Down to earth yet soaring high, grounded yet fiercely self-assured, she perfectly captures the absolute pinnacle of contemporary greatness. The iconic watchmaker spotted this instantly, understanding that she wasn't simply pushing luxury accessories, she was marketing the very essence of time itself. Hours burned bleeding on the practice court, holding on to faith, stumbling, evolving, and ultimately conquering, making this collaboration an utterly flawless alignment. Her magnificent rise and their core ethos pulse with the exact same rhythm, flawless execution, enduring endurance, and fierce intention. This contract went galaxies beyond a standard paycheck. It was a profound declaration, because locking down Coco meant far more than adding another player to a corporate roster. They were officially anointing the dawn of an entirely fresh dynasty. Within an arena frequently torn between sheer ruthlessness and polite tradition, she brings perfect harmony, mixing explosive force with mesmerizing charisma and unyielding drive. This monumental alliance broadcasts a crystal-clear warning. Conquering today's landscape requires more than just hoarding titles. It demands unparalleled class while holding the hardware. Consider the very foundation of the crown emblem: deep-rooted history, flawless accuracy, and eternal relevance. These are deep-seated principles, not empty marketing jargon. Her whole trajectory reflects those exact ideals, showcased through her ice-cold poise during chaos and her relentless grit when the odds stack against her. Remaining firmly planted while the universe attempts to drag her every which way isn't merely raw skill, it is absolute moral fortitude. That magnetic strength caught their eye, proving why they bypassed seasoned veterans holding much thicker portfolios. They secured her signature because she embodies a priceless trait that championships simply cannot purchase: everlasting endurance. She isn't just a fleeting news flash. She is a once-in-a-lifetime phenomenon, a soul whose epic narrative will mature just as beautifully as the premium chronographs adorning her wrist. That is exactly why this pack strikes a remarkably profound chord. Escaping the realm of basic sponsorships, it dictates the very definition of modern-day triumph. We are entirely past the deafening, glittering hype that extinguishes in seconds, moving toward an unshakable force. A calculated power that constructs an empire stone by stone, a beautifully poetic echo of Serena smashing industry ceilings through her audacious apparel contract back in her prime. Today, Coco strides down that exact trailblazing avenue, carving her unique footprint while rewriting the rulebook on blending sheer force with elegant poise. Skeptics might desperately label her rise as a stroke of fortunate timing, yet anyone witnessing her grueling climb knows it is absolutely nothing of the sort. This is the glorious harvest of endless silent grinds, savage self-belief, and an unbreakable clarity regarding her own identity. Because she doesn't merely hint at the upcoming era of the sport. She is the era, and with that golden crown supporting her, her reign has officially achieved immortality. The split second that sponsorship dropped onto digital platforms, the entire internet practically shattered. Mere moments later, feeds everywhere drowned in fragments of her cinematic promo, highlighting majestic, slowed-down strokes bathed in Florida sunlight alongside that iconic gleaming crest. Athletic publications declared the move monumentally groundbreaking, while culture critics simply deemed it ultimate destiny. The fiercely loyal fan base? They executed the web's favorite trick, mutating pure awe into absolute comedic gold. Viral madness flooded the timelines, including a savage image of a rival staring at her bare wrist, accompanied by brutal text pointing out her lack of a luxury timepiece. A different quip warned the world to sync their schedules because her era had commenced, proving that even the most notoriously unforgiving tennis forums were absolutely hooked. The brand secured her signature because the future has officially arrived, screamed one viral update that racked up thousands of shares in minutes. A phenomenal cocktail of deep respect and wicked mockery, serving as the web's brutal method of screaming the exact truth society felt too intimidated to whisper. She had undeniably shattered the confines of the game itself. Yet beneath the chaotic digital laughter, a profound reality pulsed. An intoxicating blend of profound reverence and biting jealousy, the audience felt that massive cultural shift deep in their bones. When a prodigy like Coco snags a contract usually kept in the vault for absolute titans, the whole hierarchy shivers. This was never merely about scoring a brand partnership. It was the sheer gravity of the moment, proving she had climbed to a peak of cultural sway that veteran title holders could only dream of breathing. The shockwaves tore right past the bleachers. Rivals paid attention, reporters took notes, and A-listers who rarely glance at a court began sharing the clip like wildfire. In the blink of an eye, her identity transcended the sport entirely, morphing her into a worldwide phenomenon. The absolute wildest detail? She managed all of this without uttering a single syllable. While peers shouted their worth into microphones, she simply flashed a grin, dropped one photograph with the timepiece on her wrist, and watched the metrics explode. We are talking past 2 million hearts in under 24 hours. Her chillingly serene swagger and absolute grip over the conversation served only to pour gasoline on the public's obsession. Cyberspace spiraled into a frenzy of cheers, jokes, and endless theories, yet the prodigy remained entirely unbothered, perfectly in her element. It proves that roaring is not required to shatter the silence. Occasionally, stepping into the room is enough for the masses to grasp that you hold all the cards. The racket-wielding universe has long suffered a fracture, divided by two distinct flavors of majesty, the brute force conquerors and the magnetic charmers. Picture Sabalenka as the ultimate avatar of the former, an unfiltered, scorching tempest of passion, practically overflowing with high-octane fury on the dirt. Then there is Coco, the absolute zenith of the latter, radiating a pristine, fluid, and chillingly bulletproof calm. Either path breeds spectacular champions. Yet in the merciless arena of corporate endorsements, where how you look eclipses how you play, She slips flawlessly into the exact silhouette the Swiss watchmaker craved. Understand this. They are not hunting for trophies. They are hunting for an aesthetic. This institution completely ignores the ear-splitting screamers and muscle-bound brawlers, pivoting instead toward competitors who conquer with breathtaking ease. Every ounce of her energy broadcasts that exact flavor of immortal grace. The moment her sneakers hit the baseline, the frenzy vanishes, zero tantrums, zero manufactured aggression. She glides with terrifying precision, where each backhand, every smirk, and every heartbeat feels meticulously calibrated, mirroring the flawless mechanics of the hardware strapped to her wrist. This chilling exactness is the chasm dividing her from the rest of the tour. While raw muscle might strike fear, her icy tranquility sparks awe. One warrior battles to earn her spot, while the other swings the racket like she owns the stadium. This razor-thin distinction is the ultimate drug for multinational empires, desperately seeking unwavering rhythm, pure class, and undeniable truth. Hence the absolute zero hesitation from the crown logo. They were never casually shopping for a billboard, they were hunting for an emblem of their empire. This philosophical split stretches far beyond baseline rallies, serving as a brutal mirror to the internal gears of current athletic business. A stat sheet no longer dictates a gladiator's true value. Today, the currency revolves around personal mythology, moral compasses, and gravity outside the white lines. She has cracked this code flawlessly, weaponizing her silence, timing her words, and transforming routine victories into monumental cultural shifts. While rivals bloody their knuckles against the glass ceiling, screaming for validation, broadcasting their grievances, and warring with haters, she bypasses the brawl entirely. She already possesses the holy grail they blindly chase, unquestioned authority draped in silence. Therefore, the instant that legendary coronet aligned with her identity, it transcended a simple corporate signature. It echoed as a global broadcast that the tired recipe of brute force and loud egos was dead, usurped by an infinitely scarcer trait: profound intention. Her whispering sophistication, this witchcraft of hijacking the spotlight without begging for it, ensures she is doing far more than wearing their merchandise. She is rewriting the very DNA of their identity. The true genius behind this partnership is its rejection of fleeting hype. It is forged to outlive us all. The Swiss giant refuses to scramble for tomorrow's front page, preferring to construct empires, and her blueprint is a flawless match. Armed with an iron will and glacial calm, she is merely scratching the surface of a 10-year reign, which, to her sponsors, means far more than raw talent. It is a calculated bet on tomorrow. Moreover, this alliance is steeped in meaningful action. Insiders claim the brand will bankroll her grassroots sports programs, fueled by her famous battle cry about reshaping the globe with nothing but strings and a grip. That phrase bleeds past mere marketing, it is a crusade. Her narrative ignores cheap stardom, focusing entirely on mutating her triumphs into ladders for kids who are grinding exactly like she did. This is the very reason she secured the bag. She acts as a living, breathing incarnation of their core philosophy: unyielding accuracy, supreme grace, and whispering dominance. Their launch video required zero seizure-inducing cuts or blown-out basslines. It spun her legend exactly as it demanded to be heard: stripped back, brutally honest, and eternal. Tying herself to this contract was never about strapping wealth to her arm. It meant becoming the artifact itself, surgically precise, unflinchingly reliable, and forged to endure the centuries. The watchmaker is not merely cutting her a check. They are tethering their entire heritage to her ascent, viewing her not just as the incoming queen of the court, but as the very evolution of greatness. Ultimately, this monumental handshake shatters the boundaries of the sport. It stands as absolute evidence that true supremacy is not quantified by silver cups or championship rings, but by the shockwaves you leave behind. As her peers sprint toward the flashbulbs, she casually engineered her own sun simply by refusing to fake it. There was nothing deafening, messy, or artificial about her climb to the summit. It was a brutal, laser-focused grind forged in blood and sweat, transmuting that silent grit into an immortal mythos. For when that iconic golden crest finally anchored itself to her shadow, it bypassed vanity entirely. It was an absolute decree to the universe. The era of Coco is officially here. We can stop calling her the next big thing, because she is the current reigning force. Like it or despise it, the entire sport has fundamentally shifted beneath our feet. Just listen to the fierce devotion of the crowds, or watch the massive corporate empires clamoring for her signature. They both scream one absolute fact: This phenom is no longer merely a rising talent on the court, she has become the ultimate benchmark everyone else must chase. However, a shadow always lurks. Greatness inevitably breeds fierce jealousy. You will hear bitter whispers claiming she was handed her crown, or critics trying to write off her pure dominance as a stroke of good fortune, perfect alignment, or a clever PR illusion. Yet, if we are being completely honest, the reality is entirely obvious. A luxury watchmaker did not forge her brilliant legacy. They merely placed a crown on the royalty we were already witnessing. We are watching a true once-in-a-lifetime phenomenon. She possesses lethal athletic accuracy, ice-cold composure under massive pressure, and an enduring elegance that perfectly mirrors the iconic timepiece strapped to her wrist. Which brings us to the ultimate debate. Has this incredible powerhouse definitively claimed the throne as the singular icon of the entire sport? Or are we merely watching the prologue to an even more legendary, monumental saga? Drop your thoughts down below and let your voice be fiercely heard. Furthermore, if you are absolutely thrilled to witness the breathtaking next chapter of her epic journey, make sure to hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and stick around for more groundbreaking moments that are completely tearing up the rulebook. After all, if this massive partnership teaches us a single lesson, it is that when your destined hour finally strikes, the whole world has absolutely no choice but to stop and stare.